have a big happening now because there will be a lot happening then.
But save it for 10 o'clock.
Well, it's the big story. You can talk about it here. But when we do happening now, that's what will be happening now.
Right.
Everything starts at 10.
I'm here.
We are America, one voice, united we stand.
And to all of the naysayers, and to all of those that would like to destroy the future of the greatest country in the world, our message to them is the same as my grandfather's. Them that's going, get on the wagon. Them that ain't, get out of the way.
Herman Cain. Solutions for a better America.
Anytime.
This is your host, Herman Cain. Thank you for joining us because, we are going to tell you the truth. We're going to give you the facts because we want you to be better informed and inspired to help make this a better, united States of America. Well, first of all, happy first day of spring, if I haven't already wished you that. It is officially here. Whether or not the weather is going to cooperate is another thing. There will be a lot going on today. Some of it has already started. Some of it will be starting later. FBI Director James Comey is supposed to testify. NSA Director Michael Rogers, middle of his testimony. House Intelligence Committee, they are, looking at President Trump's claims about wiretapping. The Democrats are still pushing the Russian connection. And on and on and on. However, our focus today, especially doing rapid fire, what's the big stuff and what's the little stuff? It is too easy to get lost in the little stuff or to get lost in the media blather that you miss the important things. Because you see, the reason that the media wants you to focus on the little stuff is because they want you to be confused and uninformed. We're not going to let that happen to you. Starting with News Nugget. Diagnosis of deception. Yes. Senator Cory Booker made our liberal lunacy of the week last week. And I got to thinking, and decided to go back and do a diagnosis, pun intended, on what he had to say. We touched upon it, but in taking a closer look, we find that Senator Cory Booker, once again, was trying to deceive his supporters, the media, anybody that would listen to him. Let's start with the first statement that he made.
The Republicans cannot just force this down our throats.
Oh, they can't. Now, do most of you all recall then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying that the Democrats had to pass the Unaffordable Care Act and then tell us what was in it? Well, they did just that in 2010 with no Republican votes in Congress because it was bad then. And they wanted no Republican input, and they forced it down our throats. The Republicans aren't trying to force the American Health Care Act down our throats. They've already shown us what's in it. And as it unfolds, we are becoming aware of what's in it as it unfolds and as they modify it. So, Senator Booker, you can't have it both ways. Secondly, here's what he said about good, hard working class folks.
It's going to knock a lot of folks off, hurt long-term care, hurt good working class folks.
That's just not true, folks. Nearly all of the listeners who've been calling my radio show for the last 4 years plus are good working class folks. They have said that deductibles were too high, that premiums are so high that they effectively do not have health insurance. Many listeners who work for companies with fewer than 50 employees lost their insurance altogether, and companies who did manage to keep providing health insurance for their employees passed along a portion of the increased costs imposed by the Unaffordable Care Act. Senator Booker, you can't have it both ways. And finally, he seems confused. He doesn't understand the Republican strategy.
I don't understand this almost. I don't understand what their political strategy, because this is bad politics.
Senator Booker, you don't understand the Republican strategy because you reject the notion that people, patients and doctors, make better decisions about their health care and health insurance than an inefficient federal bureaucracy. That's why you don't understand. Now, I don't expect the Democrats to stop their inaccurate attacks on anything Republican or anything Trump. They're in a hole and they can't stop digging. Diagnosis: Democrats are digging their own political grave. Now that's good politics. News nugget. The health care repeal. You know that's going to continue to be in the news. And the bill, as it moves through the House, is being revamped. But a lot of people are up in arms because they thought that the bill that was introduced was the end game. No, it was the beginning of the process. A lot of people have to be reminded of that. And yes, they are making changes in order to try and address many of the concerns of many of the Republicans who are not on board yet. They don't expect to get any Democrats on board. Now, President Trump himself is taking an active role in bringing skeptical conservatives on board with the Republican health care plan.
These are folks that were either a no or a maybe. And we had a nice meeting, and we've been talking all during the night. This didn't just happen over the last 20 minutes. This has been going all night long. And we are doing some incredible things. I want everyone to know I'm 100% behind this.
As well as actively helping to make modifications as necessary to end up with a bill that we can get enough in the House to pass. And President Trump goes on to say that the Republican health care plan is being mischaracterized.
I watch, I say, that's not the bill we're passing.
And he's right, folks. I read the summary put out by the Ways and Means Committee, and what you're hearing in the press is not the bill, even with some of the changes that they're putting in there. One big change that they've added to address some of the concerns Secretary Tom Price talks about when he says the administration supports the idea that states could implement a work requirement for able-bodied Medicaid beneficiaries.
The work requirements are important. There's something that is restorative to people's self-worth, sense of themselves about working when they're able to. We believe it's important for folks to have a job that they contribute not just to society, but they contribute to their own well-being.
What's wrong with able-bodied people working? Nothing. But watch the Democrats cry bloody murder and mischaracterize it as the president talked about. The bill is unfolding, folks, and I'm glad to hear the president's optimism. I'm glad to hear Secretary Price's optimism. I'm glad to hear Speaker Ryan's optimism. The pessimists are all over in the United States Senate, and they haven't even gotten the bill yet. Republican skeptics. To be continued. News nugget. Another big item in the news. The budget blueprint submitted by President Trump and his administration. Mick Mulvaney, White House budget director, says this budget fulfills promises the president ran on.
Look for that message the president was trying to deliver. That meant more money for defense, more money to secure the border, more money for law enforcement generally, and then more money for things like veterans affairs, veterans health care, and private and public school choice.
And he goes on to say that the media coverage of some of the proposed budget cuts, like Meals on Wheels, has been grossly distorted again.
I think the program that we propose to eliminate regarding Meals on Wheels accounts for 3% of the Meals on Wheels funding across the nation.
And according to Larry Kudlow and members of the administration, the program is not working. Can you find one person out of 320 million where it's working? Yes, that's what CNN did. But the program overall is not working. And Mulvaney goes on to say, rightly so, that voters can't afford unnecessary programs.
The president knows who his voters are. His voters are folks who pay taxes as well. And I think for the first time in a long time, you have an administration that is looking at the compassion of both sides of the equation. Not just the compassion in terms of where the money goes, but the compassion in terms of where the money comes from.
Compassion for where the money comes from. That's you and I. Or is it you and me? Let's get the grammar right, Herman. News nugget. Donna Brazile. Oops. It was true after all. Donna Brazile hid behind the Bible and lied when Megyn Kelly cornered her on giving Hillary Clinton a debate question.
Where did you get it?
You know, as a Christian woman, I understand persecution, but I will not sit here and be persecuted because your information is totally false.
Oops. She has now admitted, folks, that she lied. Maybe it has something to do with if you get caught in a lie and you are a public figure, it's going to be hard for you to find some paying gigs. Glad you fessed up, Donna. She admitted in an article that she wrote that she did in fact, feed Hillary Clinton some of the topics that were going to be addressed during the presidential race. News nugget. Colin Kaepernick. Anti-patriotism doesn't pay. You see, folks, it turns out that Colin will not stand for the national anthem. Kaepernick is a free agent now in the NFL, which means that all of the teams can make him an offer to have him come play for them. It turns out nobody's made him an offer yet. None of the NFL organizations. Many of them have said anonymously they really didn't appreciate the anti-patriotic moves that he made. See, here's the deal, folks. Here's the message here. You can have your opinions all you want. You can be critical of this country all you want. But never forget, this nation has come a long way. We are not back in the 1960s or the 1950s or the 1940s, as Colin Kaepernick wants you to believe. Do we have more work to do? Yes, we do. But I got to tell you, it's not nearly as bad as the anti-patriotic moves that he displayed during the last NFL season. When I come back, I will offer my rare prediction on the Judge Neil Gorsuch confirmation hearings. You're listening to The Herman Cain Show.
When you're listening to Herman Cain, you won't miss any breaking news, and you'll never miss out on a single solution for a better America.
Okay, what's your first name? Loss of a job. Bobby, okay. Yeah, I mean, quickly get
All
to your
right.
point, just 'cause it's
You managed to keep up with me.
quick. But yeah, basically, essentially.
Somehow. It's like riding a roller coaster with no seatbelt. Just
Hey,
hanging on.
when you want radio gold, I can't predict it all the time ahead of time. Just be on your A game. And you were.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That has some snap, crackle, and pop. Morning, streamers. I don't forget about y'all. I'm just in the zone before I get started, okay? stuff sooner rather than later. Good story. She fully now regrets it, Shady B. So do you forgive her now?
To him.
Now that is a priceless response. I said, Shady B, do you forgive Donna Brazile now that she admitted she lied?
I will leave it to Jesus.
He said, that's Jesus' job. That is a priceless response. You ain't in the forgiving business. Is that what you're trying to say, Shana B?
No, what I am saying is I am in the I does not care business.
Translation, he does not care. Oh, gosh. Shana B, you are priceless. That's why I won't sell you or rent you out.
Ain't nobody buying, believe me.
Ain't nobody buying Kaepernick's contract. Isn't that special? Isn't that special?
And they're also worried about Trump, if they were to bring him on their team, that Trump would tweet nasty things about the team.
Who said the tweet wasn't powerful?
What's that?
Who said tweeting wasn't powerful? The fear of the tweet.
Oh, the wrath of the tweet.
Oh, gosh. And you all hear it okay? I had to turn it up. That's why I had to put my headphone up here. Huh? Morning, Taylor. Morning, Tori.
Doors open.
Morning, Wanda. Doors open. Clean up your language. Jared, you're tweeting. I mean, we're streaming. We're doing that, too.
I'm just gonna yell with my arm.
So, Jared,
Yes.
what's your official number of missed calls so far for the March Madness? Or did you even count?
Well, hold on. Let me start off with a positive here, okay?
Okay.
After Thursday and Friday's game, I got 28 out of 32 right.
Okay.
But man, Friday and Saturday, I'm looking horrendous now. I had an awful second round.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm a glass half full kind of guy. 28 out of 32. That's not too bad. But my champion is still alive.
All right. Now, what's your count after yesterday?
Do what?
What's your count after yesterday?
I haven't checked that.
In other words, when the glass gets below half full, you stop counting.
Listen, I've learned that from our Democrat leaders. Like I've learned to always sugarcoat things and make sure that even when it's bad, it's good. I promise, it's always good.
But your winner overall is still in it.
Yes.
And one of mine is still in it.
Yeah, Carolina is still in it, and
Yep.
Arizona I have in the Final Four. So I've got 2 alive of my Final Four.
Well, I'm picking Kansas. It's the only one I have left.
They look good, man. When Michigan State was pressing them at the end, I caught the very end of that game. On I guess that was Sunday, right? That was yesterday.
Yeah. Let me tell you what impressed me about Kentucky with those youngsters out there.
Coming back.
They showed no fear.
No.
That was impressive.
Anytime.
Welcome back to the Herman Cain Show. Thank you for joining us. We've got RAPID FIRE Rapid Fire coming up, bottom of the hour. Here's a question I want to throw out at you for Rapid Fire. What's some of the big stuff that we ought to be concerned about in the news? And what's some of the little stuff that should be news we can lose, okay? Because it turns out that most of the liberal news outlets are trying to baffle you with bull feathers. And as a result, the important stuff will get lost. So what's important to you about the Republican health care plan? What's important to you about the budget blueprint? What's important to you about national security versus some of the little stuff that they want you to be preoccupied with? Speaking of the big stuff, news nugget. Judge Neil Gorsuch confirmation hearings. Now, you're going to hear the Democrats screaming about the fact that it's payback because the Republicans didn't want to consider the Democrats, the previous president's recommendation. They were in the middle of a presidential election. And so the Republicans said, we aren't going to do a confirmation hearing on them because we're in the middle of a presidential election. They're going to say it's payback. But they're not going to remind you that it was the Biden rules that started all of that. Yes, Vice President Joe Biden suggested it way back during a Republican administration. And so what my prediction is, Democrats are going to try to stall and filibuster as long as they can for this great candidate and hope people get tired of it. Memo to Democrats, people aren't going to get tired, and they're not going to forget. 877-310-2100. Rapid fire coming up on the Herman Cain Show. Okay, we'll be back.